The bold and the beautiful spoilers reveal that Daphne Rose and Ivy Forrester will have a showdown over Ivy's manipulation of Electra Forrester and Will Spencer's love. Once Daphne finds Electra looking worried, she'll sit down with her and gently ask some questions about what's going on. Electra will open up about the situation with Will and how he no way came to see her after she wrote him that sincere letter asking to talk. Of course, that should be Daphne's cue to flash back to when she pipped in the design office and saw Ivy stuffing a letter in her bag. Daphne will inescapably realize the significance of that letter and determine that Ivy has resorted to romantic sabotage. Since Electra set up Will's choker on the office, she assumes Will read the letter and gave her back the custom jewelry she made for him. Ivy was behind that too, since she wanted to make it feel like Will was breaking up with Electra. Daphne may realize that subcast of deception as well before she confronts Ivy in Thursday's B&B occasion. This sweepstakes will lead to Daphne hanging to expose the verity, but Ivy will deliver a do-and-you dare warning and push her to keep her mouth shut. However, there could be consequences if Daphne goes against Ivy's demand for silence. Ivy might hang to tell Carter Walton that Daphne was manipulating him from the get-go since she came to City on Steffi Forrester's charge. Steffi may have revealed the details to Ivy about using Daphne to break up Carter and Hope Logan Spencer during the Forrester achievement. Daphne might argue that Carter would understand, but Ivy might wonder if she really wants to take that chance and risk her new marriage. Anyhow, Ivy will get in Daphne's face and pressure her to keep quiet about everything she's learned. It'll be intriguing to see if Daphne's actually willing to do that and for how long. In the meantime, Will's going to wallow in heartache after seeing RJ Forrester kissing Electra. Although Electra pushed RJ down in the end, Will stomped off and doesn't know that part. Will was ready to protest Melissa Dillon out for Electra, so there are so numerous effects Electra and Will do'n't know. The bold and the beautiful spoilers say Ivy has created a giant mess that's only going to lead to further ruinous news, so stay tuned. On an emotionally explosive week of the bold and the beautiful, the precisely constructed visions holding several connections together begin to crack, and at the center of the storm stands Ivy Forrester, calculated, composed, and more dangerous than anyone realized. The pressure ignites when Daphne Rose notices commodity is deeply wrong with Electra Forrester. Electra, generally vibrant and hopeful, appears distracted, her eyes lustrous with unshed gashes, her confidence shaken. Daphne approaches her gently at Forrester Creations, choosing a quiet corner of the design office where the hum of sewing machines and distant chatter produce a cocoon of sequestration. With motherly warmth and genuine concern, Daphne asks what's troubling her. That simple question opens the levees. Electra confesses that she poured her heart into a letter for Will Spencer, asking him to meet so they could clear the air about recent misconstructions, but he no way showed. Worse, he returned the custom dog collar she designed especially for him, an emblematic piece that represented their bond. To Electra, that gesture felt like a silent bifurcation. As she speaks, Daphne's mind flashes back to the exact moment she walked into the office days before and caught Ivy slipping a letter into her handbag. At the time, Daphne brushed it off as a misreading. Now the consummation lands like a blast. That letter had to be Electra's. The counter-accusations are ruinous. Ivy interdicted the communication. Icing Will no way saw Electra's sincere plea, also offered events to make it appear as though Will had rejected her. The manipulation is surgical, deliberate, and deeply particular. Daphne's defensive instincts enkindle incontinently. She recognizes the pattern. Ivy has always operated subtly, cloaking ambition in charm. But sabotaging her own bastard's relationship crosses a line. As Daphne pieces together the deception, her wrathfulness simmers beneath a calm surface. Meanwhile, Ivy remains composed, confident her secret is secure. She has long believed that Electra's relationship with Will was a distraction, one that could complicate larger Forrester power plays. By creating distance between them, Ivy induced herself she was guarding family interests, maybe indeed steering Electra toward a better match like RJ Forrester. The situation becomes indeed more unpredictable when Will walks into the office and sees RJ Forrester leaning in to kiss Electra. Although Electra eventually pushes RJ down, Will doesn't substantiation that part. From his perspective, the woman he loves moved on nearly incontinently. His heartache is raw, boosted by weeks of confusion he cannot explain. He'd been preparing to defy Melissa Dillon to clear Electra's name in another misreading, but now he believes he has been replaced. The irony is cruel. Both suckers are suffering because of a taradiddle neither knows exists. When Daphne eventually confronts Ivy, the showdown is electric. The battle takes place in the design plant after hours, bolts of Los Angeles lightning flashing through altitudinous windows as if echoing the emotional storm outside. Daphne wastes no time. She accuses Ivy of interdicting Electra's letter and orchestrating a romantic sabotage. Ivy's face tightens, not in guilt, but in vexation at being discovered. She doesn't deny it outright. Rather, she deflects, arguing that she acted out of necessity. According to Ivy, Electra's involvement with Will was destabilizing alliances within the Forrester route. She insists that occasionally painful choices are needed to secure a stronger future. Daphne is frightened by the cold vindication. Love isn't a chess piece, she argues. Electra merited honesty, not manipulation. The battle escalates when Ivy issues a nipping warning. Don't you dare expose this. Her voice lowers, reminding Daphne that secrets are infrequently one-sided. Ivy reveals she knows about Daphne's own deception involving Carter Walton. When Daphne first arrived in Los Angeles, she did so at the request of Steffi Forrester, who had hoped to use Daphne's presence to disrupt Carter's relationship with Hope Logan Spencer during a critical Forrester business palm. Though Daphne ultimately fell authentically in love with Carter, her original motives were strategic. Ivy threatens to tell Carter everything, that Daphne manipulated him from day one. The recrimination is ruinous. Daphne's marriage could buckle overnight. The moral high ground she stands on begins to deteriorate under the weight of her own history. For a moment she hesitates. Ivy sees it and presses harder, averring silence is the only option if Daphne wants to cover her happiness. Away, the Ripple goods consolidate. Will isolates himself, scuffling with treason and wounded pride. He renewals the image of RJ kissing Electra over and over in his mind, ignorant it was unwanted. RJ, for his part, is disaccorded. His passions for Electra have grown, but he knows her heart still belongs to Will. Electra remains trapped in confusion, believing Will chose to walk down without explanation. Each character operates with deficient information, and that dramatic irony energizes the narrative pressure that defines the series. In true cleaner tradition, the web of secrets grows tighter with every passing day. Daphne faces an insolvable choice: cover her marriage by staying silent or defend Electra by exposing Ivy's scheme. Her internal conflict becomes the emotional core of the plot. She confides in no bone, knowing that indeed seeking advice could inadvertently reveal too important. Carter senses her torture, asking gentle questions she struggles to answer. The guilt of her earlier manipulation resurfaces, forcing her to defy uncomfortable trueness about her own morality. Maybe Ivy is right, maybe they aren't so different. But Daphne eventually recognizes a pivotal distinction: she changed. She fell in love authentically. Ivy still continues to manipulate without guilt. The stakes rise further when rumors begin circulating within Forrester Creations about pressure between Electra and Will affecting forthcoming marketing juggernauts tied to the Spencer name. Business and particular lives collide, as they frequently do in this world. Brooke Logan and Steffi Forrester each interpret the fermentation through their own lenses, adding layers of family politics to the romantic chaos. Though ignorant of the letter theft, both sense Ivy's involvement. Ivy has always walked the fine line between fidelity and ambition, and whispers of her hindrance begin to spread subtly. As Thursday's occasion builds toward its climax, Daphne makes a conditional decision. She arranges to meet Will intimately. Without revealing everything outright, she examinations gently, attesting he no way entered Electra's letter. The evidence solidifies her resoluteness. The pain in Will's eyes glasses Electra's before heartbreak. Two youthful people suffering because one woman decided she knew stylish. Daphne realizes silence would make her complicit, yet Ivy's trouble looms large. However, will he forgive her? Or will their marriage shatter under the weight of deception? If Carter learns the verity about her original docket, the emotional top arrives when Daphne returns to the office and finds Ivy staying, having anticipated her coming move. The two women stand elevation piecemeal, times of family pressure formed into a single moment. Ivy reiterates her warning, but Daphne surprises her with unanticipated calm. She doesn't roar or hang. Rather, she states forcefully that verity has a way of surfacing with or without her. Ivy's confidence flickers for the first time. The possibility of losing control unsettles her further than she anticipated. Meanwhile, Electra receives a cryptic textbook from Will asking to talk. Hope flickers in her eyes for the first time in days. Observers are left on edge, wondering whether Daphne will completely expose Ivy or attempt to orchestrate a quieter conciliation that spares her own secret. The plot encapsulates the substance of American Day drama, love entangled with power, fidelity tested by ambition, and the ever-present question of whether the verity liberates or destroys. As the week closes, alliances hang in the balance. Ivy's advised hindrance has burned a chain response she may no longer be suitable to control. And in Los Angeles, where fashion conglomerates rise and fall on perception, the most dangerous design of all may be the web of falsehoods now hanging to unravel every relationship it touches. As the fallout from Ivy's deception continues to ripple across Los Angeles, the emotional stakes consolidate in a way only the bold and the beautiful can deliver. Concentrated backstabbings, fractured commitment, and fragile love hanging by a thread. The story no longer centers on a single stolen letter. It becomes a reckoning about trust, family heritage, and whether manipulation can ever truly be justified in the name of protection. The morning after Daphne's tense battle with Ivy, Forrester Creations feels surprisingly cold. Sun aqueducts through the altitudinous glass windows, but the warmth no way reaches the people outside. Electra sits alone at her design table, absent-mindedly tracing patterns she's formerly perfected. Every sketch reminds her of Will, the dog collar she drafted with similar devotion now sitting nearly discarded, returned without explanation. She renewals every recent commerce in her mind, searching for suggestions she might have missed. Did he feel distant? Detracted? Was there a warning sign she ignored? The query gnaws at her. Across city, Will Spencer gapes out over the megacity skyline from his office, wrathfulness and anguish warring within him. He remembers the moment he saw RJ leaning in to kiss Electra. The image feels ingrained into his memory. He'd been ready to defend her honor against rumors involving Melissa Dillon, prepared to stand beside her intimately, to declare his fidelity without vacillation. Rather, he witnessed what looked like treason. Pride keeps him from reaching out incontinently. Yet beneath that pride is confusion. Electra had no way sounded able of that kind of duplicity. RJ Forrester, meanwhile, wrestles with guilt. He knows the kiss was impulsive, born from his own undetermined passions. He also knows Electra pushed him down, but that detail changes nothing in Will's mind. RJ debates telling Will the verity outright, yet fears that doing so would expose his own vulnerability. In the competitive terrain girding the Forrester and Spencer families, emotional weakness can feel like a liability. Daphne's internal battle intensifies. Carter Walton notices her restlessness over breakfast. He gently asks if commodity is wrong. Daphne forces a smile, assuring him it's just stress from work. The taradiddle tastes bitter. She hates deceiving him again, especially after promising herself she'd no way manipulate him the way she formerly did. When she first arrived in Los Angeles at Steffi's urging, she had induced herself she could separate strategy from emotion. But love complicated everything. Her marriage to Carter is real, erected on participated vulnerability and alternate chances. Losing that would devastate her. Ivy still remains outwardly smooth. She meets with Brooke and Steffi to bandy an forthcoming fashion crusade, projecting professionalism and poise. Yet beneath her calm surface, she calculates constantly. She knows Daphne is a trouble now. The only question is how to neutralize her without exposing herself. Ivy convinces herself she acted in Electra's stylish interest. Will, in her view, carries the changeable volatility of the Spencer heritage. RJ, by discrepancy, represents stability within the Forrester dynasty. However, family power would consolidate if Electra were to make an unborn tied more forcefully to the Forrester name. Ivy frames her conduct as strategic foresight rather than atrocity. But cracks begin to show in Ivy's armor. Alone in her office, she retrieves Electra's unopened letter from a retired hole. For a moment she considers destroying it entirely. Rather, she reads it again. The sincerity in Electra's words unsettles her. There's no manipulation, no docket, only love and vulnerability. Ivy pushes away the flicker of guilt, reminding herself that saccharinity can weaken resoluteness. Meanwhile, Daphne takes a bold step. She arranges a quiet meeting with Electra at a deepwater cafe down from prying eyes. There, she gently examines whether Electra is absolutely certain Will entered the letter. Electra insists he must have. Else why would he return the dog collar? Daphne precisely suggests the possibility of hindrance. The idea shocks Electra, but it plants a seed of mistrustfulness. As pieces begin to shift in her mind, Electra recalls seeing Ivy near the design office that day. Dubitation grows, fragile but patient. Back at Spencer Publications, Will confronts Melissa Dillon about the rumors that sparked his earlier determination to defend Electra. Melissa admits she may have exaggerated certain relations out of covetousness. The concession shakes Will further, however. Could he have misconstrued the situation with RJ as well? The possibility reopens injuries he tried to seal shut, if Melissa manipulated him ahead. The pressure heights during a Forrester family gathering meant to celebrate a new collection launch. What should be an elegant evening of champagne and couture becomes a battleground of implied allegations. Electra and Will lock eyes across the room. The chemistry remains inarguable, but pride and hurt keep them firmed in place. RJ watches from a distance. Apprehensive, he stands at the center of their misreading. Daphne, unfit to tolerate the deception any longer, approaches Ivy intimately during the event. She informs her that Electra has begun questioning the letter's fate. Ivy's countenance fractures slightly. She realizes control is slipping. In a low, critical voice, she reiterates her trouble regarding Carter. The exchange grows heated enough to attract subtle attention from near guests, though no bone catches the full environment. Carter senses commodity is deeply wrong. Latterly that night, he confronts Daphne directly. He asks whether Ivy's name is connected to whatever is troubling her. The question pierces Daphne's resoluteness. She recognizes that continuing to hide the verity only deepens the eventual fallout. With pulsing honesty, she begins to confess, not about Ivy first, but about her own appearance in Los Angeles under strategic pretenses. Carter listens in stupefied silence as she recounts Steffi's original plan, and her part in trying to disrupt his relationship with Hope Logan Spencer. She emphasizes that her passions changed, that she fell in love authentically and regrets her early manipulation. Gashes band her face as she finishes. Carter's response is measured but heavy. He feels betrayed, not because of the history itself, but because she no way trusted him enough to tell him sooner. Still, he also recognizes growth in her amenability to confess now. After a long pause, he tells her that honesty matters more than perfection. The admission hurts, but it opens a path toward mending rather than destruction. Daphne, relieved yet still anxious, realizes Ivy's influence over her has weakened. Empowered by Carter's tempered understanding, Daphne makes her final decision. She calls Electra and Will to meet at the design office the following morning. When Ivy learns of the meeting, fear flashes in her eyes for the first time. She rushes to block, but arrives just as Daphne reveals the verity: the letter was no way delivered. Will no way saw it. The return dog collar was part of a offered misreading. Electra's shock is immediate and visceral. Will's confusion turns to forming clarity, and also wrathfulness. All eyes shift to Ivy. Possessed, she originally attempts denial, but Daphne produces the letter itself, recaptured from Ivy's hole before that dawn. The physical substantiation shatters any remaining defense. Electra's voice breaks as she asks her aunt why. Ivy struggles to articulate her logic without sounding monstrous. She speaks of guarding family interests, of strategic alliances, of believing she knew what was stylish. But her apologies deteriorate against the raw hurt in Electra's expression. Will weigh forward, his wrathfulness controlled but violent. He declares that love isn't a commercial junction to be negotiated. He apologizes to Electra for not seeking explanation sooner, admitting his own pride contributed to their separation. Electra, through gashes, admits she should have brazened him directly rather than assuming rejection. In that participated vulnerability, the foundation of their relationship begins to mend. The fallout for Ivy is nippy. Word spreads snappily within the Forrester circle. Brooke expresses deep disappointment. Steffi questions Ivy's judgment and warns that similar manipulation could damage further than particular connections. It could blemish the brand's integrity. Ivy finds herself insulated, her formerly calculated strategy exposed as reckless hindrance. Yet indeed in exposure, complexity remains. Ivy retreats to reflect, scuffling with the consummation that control has always been her guard against instability. Watching Electra reclaim her voice forces Ivy to defy uncomfortable trueness about her own provocations. The plot leaves room for implicit redemption, but only if Ivy is willing to relinquish manipulation in favor of genuine connection. In the ending moments of The Bow, Electra